Welcome back to the pod, wherever you're listening to this from. I'm your host, Danny, and in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how you and your life as a whole is enough of a reason for you to show up for yourself with nutrition, with training, with investing time, energy, and effort into showing up for yourself consistently, into maybe investing your finances in that. You are enough of a reason. You don't have to have a surface level end date or end goal. You don't even have to have a numerical target. You don't have to have a fitness competition, a race to aim for. You don't have to enter a half marathon. You are enough of a reason to show up for yourself consistently and invest in yourself, whether that be financially, whether that be in the form of time, energy, and effort. And this conversation was inspired by a chat that I had with my friend the other day. So on Saturday evening, I went out for dinner with my friend and her dog. We had a lovely time and we were talking about training. She trains consistently, I train consistently, and we've both done fitness competitions and races from time to time in the past. And she asked me what I was training for at the moment. And my initial answer was nothing really. But then I kind of checked myself and corrected myself because, yes, I don't have an end date. I don't have a competition that I'm aiming for. I don't have a race at the moment. However, my training does have real purpose. I have got goals that I'm aiming for. They just don't come in the form of numerical targets or end dates or races or competitions at this moment in time. I am training for both my current and my future self because I don't know about you listening to this, but I personally want to be strong. I want to feel strong, not just physically, but mentally as well. And my training contributes quite heavily to that. I want to feel capable. And again, my training contributes heavily to that. And I also want to be healthy, both mentally and physically. I want to feel good. I want to function well. And I want to live a vibrant life. And in order to be the healthiest I possibly can be, in order to feel good in my own skin year round, in order to function well mentally and physically, not just now, but as I age as well, and in order to live the most vibrant life I possibly can, I know that being physically fit, being physically strong and capable, and being healthy as a result of showing up for myself consistently with training, training smart, training with structure, training hard, and as a result of prioritizing my health through my nutritional habits and my lifestyle habits, I know that I'm going to achieve all of those things. So, my training and my behaviors from a nutrition and lifestyle perspective have so much meaning beyond any races that I may do or any fitness competitions or any sort of like surface level end dates. Those things can be great to aim towards from time to time. And you guys listening to the podcast know that I love those things and I do enter races sometimes. However, the me wanting to live the best life possible and feel my best and function well and to be able to show up for the people that I care about as the best version of me, both in my personal life and also to show up as the best version of myself within my business for my clients and coach to the best of my ability. That is a big enough reason for me to show up and invest in my health and my fitness consistently. And if you're someone who doesn't have or doesn't want to work towards a race or a fitness competition or doesn't have any numerical targets right now, that doesn't mean you don't have a reason to show up yourself. And my guess is that most of you listening to this podcast want to be, want to function at your best. You want to perform well. You want to show up in your lives. I know a lot of you are probably coaches as well. You probably want to be able to perform well when you're working and produce great work and be creative and have great brain function, as well as feeling strong and capable physically. And those things are enough. You don't then have to enter a competition on top of that to give your training or your processes meaning. Like you can give it meaning beyond that, and that is enough. And I think often a lot of people think that oh, well, there's no point in me investing in a coach because I don't have a race that I'm aiming for, or I don't have a huge surface level fitness goal. But actually, the most meaningful goal you can often have is to improve your health function and your quality of life in the way that you feel on a daily basis. Because if you improve all of those things, it can change the entire trajectory of your life, both personally and professionally. So you are enough of a reason. Enter these competitions if you want, but you don't need to. They can be great, I love them. My clients work towards them from time to time, but I think it can be so beneficial to just give our efforts meaning beyond these external goals and identify our why, our reason for showing up for ourselves beyond these races or competitions that we may work towards from time to time. Um, and to recognize that at periods of time, it might not actually be beneficial for us to have these slightly more extreme end goals or end dates to work towards, because although they are great in the right times, they can also sometimes cause more stress and create more pressure than they're worth if we already have a lot of stress present in our personal lives for whatever reason, or in our professional lives. Sometimes the added pressure and the added stress of a competition, a race, or an end date can actually cause more harm than good when we already have a lot of stress present, because training can be a really positive stress when we can handle it. But when we're not able to recover from the stress of training properly because we already have a lot of stress present in the rest of our lives, and when we already have a lot of pressure coming from other areas, sometimes that added pressure from having to peak for a certain date can actually result in us completely collapsing and burning out, and our body's just being like, no, I can't handle this anymore. And that's when you might experience things like the loss of your menstrual cycle, or constant fatigue, crashing after your training sessions, struggles with cognitive function, struggles with your sleep, whether it be not sleeping enough or sleeping too much and feeling tired constantly. And it's really important to recognize that there is a time and a place for these things, and there's also a time and a place for removing that pressure completely and allowing yourself to train just to support your health and function, and have a bit more freedom of with that, as opposed to, like I said, having to peak for a certain end date. And right now in my life is one of those periods. I don't have a race or a competition or an end goal that I'm working towards, because right now the most supportive thing that I can do for my health and to enable me to act in line with my values and support my health and function is to remove that pressure. It's not to have it, because I've had a lot of stress present in the last 6 months or so of my life. And I know that if I had had the pressure of a slightly more extreme goal or end date on top of that, I would have just hit burnout. Whereas what removing that pressure has allowed me to do is stay consistent with training, still enjoy it, perform pretty well, to the point where I was actually able to hit a 10K PB a month or so ago. I think it was a couple of months ago now, without putting heaps of pressure on myself. Like I didn't I did train consistently, and I do always train in a very smart way with structure, and I trained very effectively. However, I wasn't trying to peak for that 10K for months on end. I structured the last maybe few weeks. I think I entered that 10K a few weeks out. So I structured the last few weeks in line with performing really well on the day of the 10K. But other than that, I didn't have this pressure or stress for like months on end in the lead up to it. I was just training consistently in a way that was supportive of my health and function, and in a way that I enjoyed. And that looked like at least 2 runs a week and at least 3 gym-based sessions a week. And that is my sort of my personal foundation now. Bear in mind, I've been training for well over 10 years. I've maybe been training for about 14 years. I want to say. So that's my foundation, but that's after years and years and years of training. I wouldn't recommend training 5 times a week be someone's foundation who is brand new to training, but that is my personal foundation and something that I know I'm able to stay consistent with that allows me to progress regardless of not like trying to peak for a certain end date. And the thing is, by removing the pressure and not having a fitness competition or a race to work towards, that's actually enabled me to enjoy my training so much more and therefore give so much more to it and actually progress and feel really fit so that I am able to, if I wanted to, drop into a fitness competition or a race and perform pretty well without months and months and months of preparation. Whereas I think if I had forced myself into months and months of prep for a fitness competition or a race, say I was to do another half marathon, for example, I think I would have got to the point where I just completely crashed and burned, and I would have had to have taken an actual extended break from training. Whereas removing the pressure allowed me to stay consistent and enjoy my training and achieve essentially more progress over the long term. So although I remove the pressure of the end date, I've actually probably seen more progress as a result of that than I would have by forcing myself into a rigid structure with my training and peaking for something, if that makes sense. So I'm really proud of myself actually for how I've handled these last 6 months. And like I said, it's just reinforcing that there is a time and a place for chasing these end date based goals. And there's also a time and a place for removing that pressure. And sometimes removing that pressure in a roundabout way can result in more long-term success. And it's often a lot easier to remove that pressure when one, you give your training and your general behaviors in terms of nutrition and life meaning beyond it just being to achieve these end dates. Think about the impact it has on your general function, your life, the way that you feel on a daily basis. Make that your main purpose. But then on top of that, when you work on your relationship with yourself, like I was talking about in last week's podcast, and you get to a place of self-acceptance and self-respect, you are no longer your identity is less likely to be wrapped up in you performing well at these competitions, and your identity is less likely to be wrapped up in the process of you working to achieve these goals, whether it be a bikini competition, a half marathon, or a high rocks or whatever it is. You're more likely to feel whole and complete without those things. And so it therefore makes it much easier to step back from them when that's what you need. And you no longer struggle with your sense of identity when you do have to take a step back because you recognize you're a complete person without them, and your sense of self-worth is not dependent upon your surface level achievements. So, main takeaway from today's podcast is that you are enough of a reason to show up consistently with your training, nutrition, and lifestyle and invest in yourself. And if you don't realize that, if you struggle to identify that, what I would recommend that you do is I would literally write down a list of reasons why showing up for yourself consistently with training, nutrition, and your lifestyle habits, health supporting lifestyle habits, would or does have a positive impact on your life, both personally and professionally, and the lives of the people that matter to you, whether they be clients or whether they be friends and family members. So get clear on that, and that will help you build a better relationship with your training. It will improve your likelihood of achieving long-term success. And it will also probably mean that you have a better relationship with these fitness competitions and races so that when you do them, they become an even more enjoyable and nourishing experience, but you're no longer dependent upon them to feel complete, to feel worthy, to feel successful, or to show up for yourself. It's a red flag if without a fitness competition or a race, your efforts fall by the wayside and you struggle to show up for yourself, because that shows you need to give your efforts a greater meaning. Otherwise, you're always going to be dependent upon these external kind of races or end dates. and you're going to struggle when you've kind of say you've had an event weekend. You're going to struggle after that event weekend if you don't give your behaviors meaning beyond the race or competition. And your health is more likely to take a hit off the back of those weekends. So if that is something that you struggle with, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to support you however I can. So please don't hesitate to drop me a DM on Instagram. I'm genuinely always happy to help, even if we don't work together. And if you are interested in one-to-one coaching, I do have a few spaces available for April at the moment to take on new clients. And I would absolutely love to help you work on your relationship with yourself. I would love to help you give your health and fitness journey so much more meaning and help you actually achieve long-term success this time rather than you achieving a goal and then ending up back where you started. I want to help you break that cycle and learn how to show up for yourself consistently and achieve your results for good. So let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. If you have any feedback on the podcast, I absolutely love hearing from you guys. And if you're interested in coaching, just drop me a direct message on Instagram with the word coaching or head to my website, which is www.dannybosworth.com. And the information that you need alongside my inquiry form is on there. I look forward to hearing from you and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're listening to this.